Hey everyone, it is Friday night, and that means it's time for Dreaming Code Live. This is episode 7. It should be higher up, but it is not because we've missed a few episodes. And I'm Skaggles, or Andre Burdett, and the beard is growing in superbly. I'm trying to shape it. I'm trying to get just enough of the neck beard down to I don't look too much bushy, just enough. So I'm actually here today. I have to apologize for last time because I was actually trying to get back from I was judging a speech competition at the local college here, and it ran a little late, and I wasn't able to come back in time. By the time I got back, it was already too late to actually start the show. What do you mean you hear nothing? You hear nothing. Well, it's going across fine. Let me double check here. Yeah, see, hear stuff. Try unmuting your speakers, perhaps. All right, so we actually have a guest today. First of all, let me jump into this thing here. Remember, we have a website, weeklydic.com, weeklydic.com, set up by our own number 2 pencil. He needs to actually he needs to actually add in some things. Some of the stuff that we have planned to implement are embedding the live stream into the website so that people can actually just go to weeklydic.com to actually watch the stream every Friday. You don't have to actually go to Ustream. It'll be embedded. And another thing we want to do, we want to add the chat thing there, or link to the chat. Maybe something like how Dreaming Code has with the web-based IRC chat. Something like that we'll put in here, and all that stuff. For those who don't know, we actually don't use the Ustream chat. We actually use IRC on the fnet.org, and the channel is Dreaming Code, the usual Dreaming Code sound. Or now you guys have got me confused with the sound. First of all, let me adjust something here because you do not see enough of my face. Oh, a little bit further. There we go. There we go. It's always good to get a better close-up. So let's just get right into our guest. Number 2 Pencil had said he'd be here for the show to help out everything, but he is online, so he is completely a guy we can't trust to keep his word, right? So we do have another guest. It was going to be a threesome with me and 2 guests, but today we're just going to have a casual, normal, just one-on-one. And our guest today is macosxnerd. Let me call him. So everybody needs to give a welcome to the show, one of the administrators on Dreaming Code, Mr. macosxnerd. How's it going?
How's it going? Y'all hear me?
Yep, I hear you. Let me try to move this. There we go.
Awesome.
We're actually trying something different. I'm trying to do the whole video, so it's not just staring at your picture. We're actually going to the video and everything. So let's hope this works out okay. Yeah, you're sporting the Dreaming Code shirt, I see.
I am. Special for today.
So why don't you start by telling us something about, you're an administrator of Dreaming Code, right?
I am.
How's that work for you? Is it fun?
It is. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoy going in on the back end and proving snippets and tutorials and stuff and getting things like awards going and making things happen.
Nice. You guys working on anything specific, or are you implementing anything specific?
I just got done with 3 weeks of hell in school, so I have been MIA for the past 3 weeks, but I am now on 3.5-month break for summer, so I want to get back into some of the award stuff as well, and we'll try to get some more stuff going this summer.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand exactly how you feel. Like, I've been going through hell in school, too. It's the finals, all the finals are coming up.
Oh, no, I had more work before finals week than I did for finals week. It was terrible. See,
my opinion, this is how the classes work. You go through the classes, it's okay. You're getting a bunch of work. Certain classes have more work than others. It's just natural. But then at the end, they're all like, oh, crap, we still have to go over all this material, and we only have a week left. So here's all this extra work, and the finals are coming up, by the way. Yeah, let's see here. And how about we just go into a subject here that I chose. It's actually a blog, one of the Dreaming Code blogs, and change it up, not just a post. The one I pointed out was by Kaya, Kya, Kia, Kia. Bro down and crush some code. It goes over a CNN article about programming and all that stuff. And I thought programming is a very awesome topic to talk about on the show. Yeah, are you a programmer?
I am a programmer. I have the programmer badge, so it's official.
You have the badge. I got the badge too, so that means we're programmers, right?
We are.
We
Wait the story.
oh God, my sunglasses. Oh, I was totally gonna wear sunglasses, but I have no idea where they're at. I'll just wrap myself.
Or otherwise, I'd totally go grab them.
I'll just go grab the kitten blanket I have and wrap myself up in it while I program. So programming, it's an interesting thing when the general idea of a programmer is this nerd. It's this dungeon nerd, you know, that just sits there and spends hours programming, and then now they have this this new nerd, you know, this new programmer type that's got that goes to the gym every day and pumps iron, and it's just more of a your typical masculine male, but a programmer. But also, it's got so much more to it. There's like a whole page that just goes on and on about the list of programming. Yeah, it's B9 points out it's the douche nerd. It's the douche nerd.
Well, I've been to the gym once this semester, and I've been out in the sun, so I think we're making progress, right?
Yeah, just a little bit. So, God, see, some of these topics are hit and miss. I try to choose what I can, and something to give us a little bit. I try to start the show with some of these lighthearted topics. Like, we're trying new formats, and a good time to point this out is because with the show and the scheduling conflicts that come up and everything like that, me and Number 2 Pencil are going over a few ideas about the schedule and everything. So the time might change, days might change. We're looking at different things like that. Beard's not going to change. Beard only gets better, right? All right. Well, I thought this topic was pretty interesting. What I'm doing is I'm going over some lighthearted stuff, some like lounge stuff first. Then we go into some news stuff. And then we go into some actual deeper programming related things, which makes sense since this is a show about programming and dreaming code.
Absolutely. Let's get going.
Yeah, okay, so this one more lounge topic here by Benign Design, B9 in the chat here. She wrote about her fighting the nerd urge. I thought that was her story was interesting about her being in her office and overhearing a conversation with her fellow co-workers that could not get the details right about the Hulk, and they mistook the Hulk for like Mr. T or something, and they were talking about Mr. Green, I think they called him at one point in her, and she just had to fight so hard to go in there and correct them and reveal her deep love of the nerd lifestyle.
I totally empathize. I have a friend in college who I can't believe it's not some Star Wars. He thought Yoda was on the dark side of the Force, and that's just unacceptable. I had to make him watch a 5-minute lightsaber fight scene on YouTube just to expose some Star Wars and to make the point.
Yeah, I think we've all had those moments to where we just feel the need to, you know, enlighten some people about the aspect. You know, it's not just a nerd thing. I think it's just a habit, the human habit of knowing something, and then somebody else shows a lack of knowledge in that area, but they're still talking about it. And you kind of want to just go in there and enlighten them and tell them, no, this is how it is. But at the same time, you're afraid of coming off across that as that person who's a know-it-all, right? Or a nerd in this case. Avengers, I actually just saw that yesterday, so I have to say it was a really good movie. And if I overheard this conversation where people were just blatantly just don't understand who the Hulk even was, Benign Design has more willpower than me because I could not fight the urge to go in there and correct them. I would have just went in there and been like, and this topic actually went for a few pages, and people are still talking about their nerdiness. At one point, they went into a conversation about how people are nerds and the definition of nerds and such. So that was interesting. A little bit on topic, a little bit off. It kind of just went off. Super Sloth can't be here for the show. They're talking about this in the chat. We've actually talked to Super Sloth about being on the show. He's perfectly fine with being on the show, but he can't make the time that the show is. So for that, we would either have to do the show at a different time, live, or pre-record it and show it at the normal time, just that little interview section. So be interested to hear what you guys think we should do on that, because he says he'll do the show. He says he's perfectly fine with that. What do you think, Michael? Right? Is it?
Yeah, whatever time works for him. If we have to record it or change the time around a little bit to get him on, I think that would be great, because I mean, he's been around. I think he is the first member on Dream Encoder, like one of them. So
Yeah.
he's been around the longest, next to Chris maybe. So it would be great to get some of his perspectives on the lounge and stuff.
Yes, yeah, and speaking of which, Chris too has also been contacted, and he says his life's starting to become normal again. Well, as normal as it's going to be now that he has a kid. But he says that since he's starting to get into a schedule again, that he's interested in coming on the show and giving us his perspective too. So that'd be interesting to get some of the big. Well, obviously Chris was from the beginning since he started the site, but him and Super Sloth together on the same show would be interesting.
Absolutely, and I guess by normal for him, that means he's starting to get 2 or 3 hours of sleep a night.
Yep, that must be it. His kid isn't even a year old, but he says he's starting to get back into the office and stuff and do some work and get work done. So we'll talk to him. Super Sloth, that's what to being able to schedule some of the stuff is some of the hard parts. Finding the guests and working the time. A lot of people have expressed that they want to. They don't mind, like, people watch the show in the recorded form, right? They can't make the live show. But a lot of people have expressed that they want to see the live show. That you get kind of a different thing when watching a live show and being involved in a chat and stuff. And that's one of the things we're talking about, like messing around with the time and stuff like that. Seeing who we could make happy the most, the most amount of people. Hopefully that's everyone, but it never is. All right, see what you think about this first thing, and let me just point out that this first topic I'm going to talk about, it didn't get too many replies or anything, but I posted it, and I'm doing the show, so I can pick whatever the hell I want to talk about, right?
Absolutely.
So this topic is a news topic, and it's talking about a TLD. Let me scroll down here. A proposed TLD. I found this on a news site talking about a .secure domain where it's very selective in its security policies, and you have to meet a certain security criteria in order to even be able to allow on it and stuff. And it just seems like a big headache and a lot of money is going to have to go into this to make something like this even work. I mean, it's an interesting idea, but feasibility, I don't know. What do you think about that?
Pulling up the topic right now.
No pressure. Yeah, what I got here. You read it?
Yes, I think it's definitely a lot of money and effort for something that people are just going to fake and get around or find some other way to do it. I don't really think that this .secure thing is really going to help anything.
Yeah, it's like as it's mentioned in the article in a reply, it's like a gated community for the internet, and being able to enforce such strict policies on security and everything. How far will that go? And will it just be like all the sites? Will people even use this type of thing? Will companies even bother that don't want to mess with it?
It sounds like they're going to lock it down so much that you're only going to have internal to the company. It's going to be like a company rolling out a niche product, something standard that's already out there. And I mean, at that point, rather than investing $9 million in .secure, just have your own internal IT guys make a little custom secure intranet.
Yeah, I found this. This was on Ars Technica news website. And, I read it. I posted on here. Bingy actually made the comment. Bingy for the forums. I'll show this that he guarantees that there will be at least 50 porn sites on this TLD. I can imagine. Can you imagine? At least your porn's going to be secure, right?
Absolutely. The best part about watching it is knowing that it's virus free.
Yes. I don't like those pop-ups coming up and telling me I have a virus when all I was looking for was a little sexy time, right?
Hey, that's more of a guarantee than you get with some of the in real life stuff. You know what I mean?
There was I've actually had I stopped going to this one movie news site about movies and stuff like that, or trailers, all that stuff. And I'm real big on movies and all. But I used to go to this one site, and their advertisements would either
Wait,
block.
you said movies, right, with a V, not with a B, right?
Yeah, not movies. Let's be specific here. Movies, film, not porn, but just action, all that stuff. But the site has these ads that always either conflict with the site by overlapping and covering stuff to where I can't click on anything or read anything entirely, or they actually come up with these pop-ups talking about Trojans and all this stuff, and it's just annoying and everything. I kind of just stopped using the site and just looking at some other ones. I think I'm just going to stick with RSS feeds when I get my news.
Yeah.
But that's maybe they should create a .secure domain to where they don't have to worry about the people that go to their sites. Like, oh, it's got a .secure domain. I know it's secure now. It's like HTTPS. You just know,
Right.
I like some of the information here that they put on here about the sites that want to be part of the exclusive domain would have to undergo rigorous screening to verify their identity, and it goes on with a list about what they would have to, and that this information is reviewed by human beings. Just imagine how many people are filing for this if it becomes a possibility, and like how many man hours would go into screening all this information, and how half-assed that will be, because human nature, we don't like to do work.
Well, this reminds me of like the government trying to start regulating the internet, like with SOPA and PIPA, and I haven't kept up with this so much, but that seems to be the new bill out there.
Yeah.
I wonder if the government would end up taking over.
Looks like number 2 Pencil is on. Maybe we can invite him to the good old Skype chat here.
Absolutely.
Skype chat, not Skype chap. Oh yeah, let me just go over here to my face while I mess around with Skype. Add to conference call. Skype confuses the hell out of me sometimes. Tell you, all I want to do is call you. I just want to call you, Jason. That's it. Pick up. It's probably because there we go. Yeah. Uh oh. I think I just hung up on There we go. Hey, sorry about that. Nothing like messing around with Skype live on a show. Oh, we're back with Michael or macosxnerd. Number 2 Pencil. He's just gonna be a watcher for today. How about that? Until he figures out what he wants to do. So how about we move on? I wanted to get his opinions on this next topic because I thought it'd be interesting. So my next topic here is, I'll just bring up the browser here. This was posted by Creative Coding about how the DEA forgot a student in a holding cell, and I thought this was an interesting article because at first it just seemed like I was like, oh, this can't be real, this stuff doesn't actually happen. But then you actually look at it, and it's like actually on news sites like BBC and CNN and stuff like that. So, they're real, right? They're real news companies. So the story goes that a 24-year-old student was taken into custody during a drug raid. Apparently, he wasn't charged with anything, but he was held for 5 days. But the kicker was that they forgot they had him apparently in the cell, and during those 5 days he was handcuffed in the cell and without food or water. A guy ended up drinking his own urine to try it, and when they finally realized, like, oh crap, we forgot this guy. He was suffering from like kidney failure, and they had to rush him to hospital. Where apparently he's doing fine. He's filing charges, of course. I would expect anyone to. Did you read the story?
I am skimming over it now. I read the first page of that thread.
Yeah, I just thought that it's so makes you just angry reading stuff like this and just thinking, it's like, how the hell does stuff like this even happen?
I know, right? I mean, first off, you're stupid enough to go and get high and use meth and stuff, and then for the DEA to be stupid enough to lose him, I mean, I would expect more from our law enforcement. Maybe not our politicians, but come on, the DEA should be better than that.
Yeah, the DEA. I mean, and then what happened when they actually found him? Is it kind of like a just, oops, our bad. are bad, and they just let him go, and then that was it. That was all. Who they won't say who's responsible, of course, but they said that they're doing an investigation. I guess it just seems like the type of thing that would happen in this. And what happened with an investigation? They do investigations, and then they modify policy in order to help prevent stuff like this from happening. But what about the actual people that are involved? The people that either did this on purpose or accidentally? It's hard to say because I'm not part of the DEA.
No, what'll happen is either there will be someone's head will be chopped off, and they'll be made a public example out of, or it'll be swept under the rug, and you'll never know who did it until years later when some president or some politician whines and complains loud enough.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. They're saying in the chat, why was he still cuffed if he was in a cell? It's pretty much they kept him cuffed, and apparently it was behind his back, and he pulled his feet back and kind of worked his hands back in front of him, and then I imagine he just peed right into his mouth. That is something people are apparently curious about, is how he peed and drank at the same time. So I don't know. Usually the people asking this type of question that can't understand how he was able to drink his pee are the females. Just saying.
This is true.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say if he's able to drink his own urine, he's probably drinking other bodily fluids.
Yeah. Yeah, just
He must be taking yoga on the side or something.
you just point it and shoot, right? Just like a gun.
I was implying a little more flexibility than that, a little more precision aim.
It would take a little bit of precision.
A little more close range.
He had 5 days to practice.
Exactly.
All right. How about we actually talk about something programming related for a change?
Sounds good to me.
Hey, this stuff, you guys post this stuff in the lounge. Well, not just you. I posted one of those topics. But, I got to talk about the good stuff, lead into this stuff. But we actually have two programming-related things. One is dealing with a challenge on the forums, and I thought that I like to talk about the challenges and get them out there and stuff. And this one is actually Python challenge, and it was done by Atrobe. I'm just gonna go with Atrobe. He posted a challenge in the Python forum about creating a as ugly as possible one-liner bit of code. Just some of the stuff that they came out with that I thought was interesting. Basically, what they wanted is just put as much as you can in one line of code and make it look as bad as possible. I thought it was an interesting thing for the norm because you're always talking about good programming practices and everything like that, and then you have a challenge. It's like I want you to ignore all that and create something terrible.
This honestly looks like the auto-generated JavaScript crap, or this looks like some of the Turbo C crap that we see in the C++ forums from people in third world countries that really don't know what they're doing and don't have any business programming.
Here we go. I'll bring up one of the ones I liked from Sep2K, Sep2000.
This makes my eyes bleed, and looking at some of this ugly code kills me a little bit on the inside.
I'm not going to bother trying to count.
No,
but
am I.
There's a lot of crap, and then there's some other ones too. There's up a bit more. There was a submission by another submission by Sep2000. Apparently he was not as certain that his first one was good enough, so he decided to post a whole second one. And let's see, we got one from Bovga. How would you pronounce that? Do you know how it's pronounced?
I just pronounce it Bovgi.
Bovgi?
Yep.
Yeah. There's a lot of interesting stuff here, and I just thought that it's interesting to talk about the challenges going on during the code and get information about there. But it's Python, so Python is by the nature of Python is that I think it's a little easier for this, but it's based on spaces and tabs and everything like that. That everything has to, instead of using the curly brackets and stuff. So to actually put all that stuff onto one line of code, kind of crazy, if you ask me.
Bobby's solution, part of it's looking really lispy.
Yeah.
That makes me chuckle.
But hey, if anybody out there is interested in has experience with Python and making ugly code in Python, which I honestly think is impossible because Python is just awesome, awesome looking. Go ahead and try your luck at this challenge and see what kind of crap you can come up with. Python is my favorite Monty, as Benign Design points out. Monty Python, I get it. Okay, so we're a half hour in and we have just pretty much just one topic left. So let's try to drag this out a bit, shall we? In fact, let's see if I can get a hold of number 2 pencil again, because he's messaging me. See, I keep missing calls. When I'm on Skype and I'm doing the show, I put it in like the busy mode. So when people actually do call me during the show, I don't get anything. So yeah, he asked me if we're still doing this tonight after the show starts. Gotta love you, number 2. Gotta love number 2, right?
Absolutely.
All right, I'm adding him in. See how this goes. Pick up, pick up, pick up, pick up, pick up. Oh God, there he is.
Hello?
Hey, Mr. Pencil, how's it going?
I'm fine. I finally get the show to load, and then you call me. I'm trying to get this stupid thing to load for 15 minutes.
Oh.
And as soon as it loads, it gets a Geico ad, and then the phone rings.
Hey, you have to take 15 minutes before you can log on, right? 15 minutes will save you 15% or more on your car insurance.
He's got a point there. That's their plan.
Who needs car insurance? That shit's overrated.
Yeah, even if you got a car, there's no point, right?
Right.
All right, we're just going to go with basicness, no video chat, because it's going to screw things up if I have both of you talking and video going and streaming going, because my internet is not that good. We're working on it.
I apologize for getting on so late, and I as soon as I get on, the first thing I see is a rip about how I'm getting in late. I was getting my picture taken with Screech from Saved by the Bell.
Oh.
And we went to his show, and he's actually performing his second show right now. I went to the early show, and got to see that along with 2 other local comedians, and it was absolutely hilarious. All I can say is the first thing he came out and said was, if you're expecting to see Screech or any kind of Saved by the Bell memories, then you're in for a wrong, horrible show. And his show ranged from jokes about finding grandmother porn on accident to I wish I could have got him on camera saying this, poo stomping in the shower. It was excellent. It was a great show. So
for some reason, people are saying they can barely hear you, but you're like way loud on my headphones right now, so I have no idea what's going on with that.
Well, you know what? Screw them.
I'm telling you, my volume on my computer is at 100% right now. Let me try messing with stuff and like a mad scientist and seeing what happens. So hey, Mr. Pencil, I was just talking about, well, not just talking about, I talked a little bit ago about how the DEA forgot that guy in the holding cell for a while.
Yeah, and he cut his arm with he broke his glasses and wrote "I'm sorry, Mom" on his arm or something.
Yeah. It's terrible to laugh at, but your dying message is "I'm sorry, Mom."
Well, if you think about it, I mean, it's what he did caused him to get killed. I mean, that's what his logic was, and he was apologizing that, sorry, my hijinks have gotten me killed. Yeah. I understood where he was going with it.
It's let me just ask the channel. This is going to be a little bit of a lag, but is number 2 pencil that low on the stream? Can you actually hear him? Is there going to be that big of a problem? No, we wait 10 minutes for people to respond.
Right. Later they're like, it's too loud.
Are you still? Hey, Michael, you still there?
I'm still here, and
all right. Just making sure that everything's still working.
Absolutely, everything's going well.
People are Benign and Neo Tifa said they can barely hear you. Dogstopper says he's fine. I think it's a male-female thing again.
Neo Tifa, now you can stop complaining because we have mentioned you on the show.
Yeah, we Neo Tifa, you've been mentioned on the show. Tifa, sorry, Tifa. You know how hard it is to just guess how somebody's name is pronounced?
Just for that, I will keep pronouncing it Tefa.
Just like Garba Harba, I'm gonna keep pronouncing his name Gabe.
I've always said Gabe Habe. I've always said Tifa. I mean, it's English. You know, it's how it reads.
Oh,
Yeah,
get this. Get this. Speaking of Gabe Habe, you know how we keep trying to get him on the show, and he keeps like passing out drunk before the show starts because of this time difference and all. I get a message from him last Friday because we didn't do the show because I was late getting home. I get a message from him later going, "Oh hey, guess what? I was up till like 5 a.m. and I could have done the show." And I was like, "Well, we're gonna do the show anyways." Man, I wish I could. Literally, the volume is way up, so we'll see what we can do with maybe number two pencil. Just turn up this microphone.
Actually, I'm using my iPhone app, so I have no control over.
You guys are loud on my headphones are just blaring. I'm just trying to ignore it, you know. Every time you talk, you see me wince a little bit because my ears are just bleeding right now. There's blood running down my cheek.
Well, I'm used to listening to loud music. I've really gotten into the 80s hair bands, so.
The hair bands.
There's
Poison.
no other way to play them except blaring.
Poison, Scorpion, Metallica, you know, the usual.
White Lion.
Lita Ford, Ozzy Osbourne.
Not quite Ozzy, but.
Well, Black
along
Sabbath.
those lines.
Good stuff. Motley Crue. Dr. Feelgood. Alice Cooper.
Alice Cooper's really good. I like Alice Cooper.
Be my Frankenstein. All right. Well, let's see. I have one topic left, Mr. Pencil and Mr. Nerd, and that is implementing 2D physics. I thought this would be interesting to actually talk about something literally programming related and a little bit of theory in how to implement these type of things. I mean, it's pretty straightforward, but I thought it'd be interesting to discuss. Oh, look, Creative C decides to join up for the show. Doesn't he owe you something, you know, Mr. Pencil?
Who, me?
Yeah. Aren't you working with him?
No, he doesn't. Yeah, we're working on a project.
Yeah.
He doesn't owe me anything. It's a long story, and I don't think this is probably the place for it. No, we're just working on a project together.
I'm just laughing at the chat's response to what he owes you. Neo Tifa. All right, so let's moving on. Implementing 2D physics. So, you guys ever mess around with game programming at all?
I've done a little bit of the basic stuff, but game programming really isn't my area. But a while back, when I started taking calculus, I think I wrote a couple tutorials on the math behind 2D gravity and stuff. And really, it's not that bad. And I think a lot of people make gravity out worse than it be when it's really just a simple Taylor series as far as you want to go out.
Yeah.
I mean, they're talking about forces and mass here, and with gravity, that doesn't really matter because it's just you break it apart. You have your x velocity, your y velocity, and the y is the only one that really changes. So,
you work with it at all, Mr. Pencil? You have any input?
You ever see the Billy Madison when the guy plays the flute and he's really good, and then Billy like honks and then says he's good? That's how I'm going to be on this topic. Yeah, gravity, sure. I've made some very horrible ASCII games like Yahtzee, and yeah, that's it. I have no. I'm not that good.
I've about the
obey gravity, it's the law.
Yeah, no, well, it's laws as far as you can go in a real world. In a computer environment, it doesn't have to. It's not a law.
No, not at all. And that's what I love about doing it on a computer rather than taking a physics class.
You can toy with it however you want. You can make physics.
Absolutely.
You can make gravity work the exact opposite.
It's my rules.
And I think that's one of the allures to game development is that you can create stuff like that and really let your imagination run away with you. The extent I'm kind of with number two pencil on this, and that the extent of my game development knowledge went to as far as creating. I created some basic puzzle games, but as far as like actual developing a game, I just use like engines and stuff like that. I don't really dwell too much into it. I'm all like, somebody else already did this. I'll just use theirs.
I've never even gotten that far. I mean, I've made like Pong, I think I played around with Tetris a little bit at one point. I don't think it got really far because of time constraints and other
Yeah.
stuff going on. But really, I'm more of a math guy. And essentially, I've been getting into more abstract math than I have calculus and game programming related math.
Yeah. As far as the 2D physics goes, the guy is basically asking in the post. It's by Daniel Leon. Daniel Leon. I wonder if that's his real name. But he's using a generic engine for multiple games, and he's creating a physics system. I guess he's creating a game engine is what he's getting at, and he's working on the physics portion. And this is one part of programming that really when you go into depth, because at first when you're just dealing with this stuff, of course you're going to use a lot of engines that are pre-built and everything and pre-coded all that stuff. But unless some people are more interested about how they work and how to actually develop things like that, and they're going to take it apart on a more deeper level and actually try to create their own game engine, physics engine, that sort of stuff. And that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with actually doing that. But if you want to actually get a game done, then yeah, you're going to have to use pre-built stuff. But if you just want to learn how it works, no problem with that. Would you have any thoughts on that matter, Mr. Pencil or Mr. Nerd?
I pretty much agree with you there. I mean, I like the low-level math and stuff and a lot of theory, so would it be fun for me to get into building some of that? Absolutely. Would it ever get used in a real game or any side project beyond building it for the sake of building it? Probably not.
Yeah.
The only thing I really have to add is that, if you want to compete on the level of being a developer, then yeah, you would need to know, I guess, a lot more of the low-level stuff or math. But what's really, I think, missing in today's environment is fun games. I think that's why Minecraft has done so incredibly well. Not that I'm sure it's very advanced on the underneath, but it was written by like one guy or a couple of people. So if you can come up with that good idea and you can implement it well and make it enjoyable, maybe not so much, is required. But
yeah, I have to agree there that like we discussed in the last episode, not last Friday, but it was 2 Fridays ago because we skipped one. When we were talking with Lord of Duck about game development, and he made the mention that ideas are a dime a dozen, but it's how you implement them. And I think that's the key when you're doing game development. And this is getting off the topic of just how to implement a 2D physics game, because implementing a 2D physics game is going to depend on the language, it's going to depend on what you want it to do, how realistic you want it to be and stuff like that. But as far as game development goes, first you just have to do something that's fun, And if it's fun for you to do, chances are it's going to be fun for other people. And I think that's what you should focus on. Fun.
Yeah, you know what? That's a really good point, because I was just, while you were talking, it made me remember an old game I used to play for the original Xbox, and it was something Ninjas. And it was one of the craziest games because you would build a 70s movie. And so as you went through the level, you were actually filming a movie.
Yeah.
Do you remember that game? You could pick like Monkey, or you could pick Ninja, or there was like 6 just off the wall, bizarre, stereotypical movie characters. And there wasn't really anything groundbreaking about the game except when you were done, they showed it as it was a movie. Like they showed it from different angles and in slow motion. The game could depict what looked good, I guess. But I don't know, it was interesting because you'd play it and then you'd watch it.
Yeah.
So
I don't. It doesn't sound too familiar to me, but I've played with certain games that which toy with the whole changes as you go kind of thing, and I thought that was an interesting idea of gameplay. I think one specific one was called Shadow of Destiny, where you, depending on what you do in the game, changes the entire play of the game, the outcome and everything like that. And I thought that was a great idea, just different things.
Didn't Skyrim just get in a ton of trouble for that? There was a huge game on the market right now that they promised everybody that based on how the decisions you made, the ending was going to be like different. and then it wasn't. Like, as people started completing the game, it was all the same. And they actually had a class action lawsuit because the game, you know, they lied. It wasn't different. I mean, people then went and played it a second time purposefully, completely the opposite, and it still came out the same. I can't. Somebody was telling me about it. I don't, because I've never played Skyrim, but I want to say that was it, because it was so big that they had to release like this big update and give people, you know, the different endings that they had promised.
Yeah. I can't. Do you know what game that was, Michael? Because I can't remember.
I have no idea.
I know.
I'm not a gamer.
I know that the new Star Wars, the Old Republic MMO game, has a system of quests where they're kind of like stories where you go along and each character can end up playing a whole different storyline depending on the quest and everything and your path, I guess you call it. So that was a fun idea of how to handle quests in an RPG game. You know, that way the gameplay is always different. You can play the same character, the same class, and everything like that, but have a completely different style of game. It's addictive, very addictive. Number 2, Pencil. I thought that we might talk, since you're here, about Nauticon that you went to.
Yeah, sure.
Or we could talk about Screech from Saved by the Bell if you'd rather talk about that.
You know, really, I've covered it. I mean, that was the show. It was very vulgar. It was a lot of, you know, gross jokes, and girls, you know, you'd say it's nasty, but you know you're laughing, and it was standard. It was typical stand-up comedy. I mean, it was really good, but it was just, you know, he didn't blow. I don't want to badmouth the guy. It was really funny, but it wasn't like worth, I guess, bringing up. I don't know. Okay,
and then how about you talk about your experience at Nauticon? How many weekends? How long ago was that now?
It was, I think, going on 3 weeks, because initially I couldn't do the show because I was there.
Yeah.
And I was supposed to talk about it, and I didn't make it back in time last week. Well, no, actually, I did make it back in time. What happened last week is I was terribly sick. In fact, just yesterday, I finally 100% cured. I was just sinus infection, lymph nodes sticking off my face. I mean, I was just horribly sick, and
the plague.
Like once every 5 years. Yeah, well, it was all sinuses, and my sinuses were all backed up, and so my wife drove me to the drugstore because I couldn't even hardly stand to open my eyes to view the road, and so I bought a 2-pack, a Dayquil and NyQuil. I was so excited. I'm gonna get better, right? And as soon as she put on her seatbelt, she turns and looks, and I've already got the NyQuil down. I've already drank it. I wasn't even paying attention. I opened it, and she's like, "Don't you have the show to do in like 2 hours?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And she, "You're not doing the show." I think I slept for about 14 hours. And just hacked my lungs out for like the next 3 days.
Did you have
I coughed everything up, but
did you have fun at the conference thing though?
Oh yeah, absolutely. The conference I go about every year. I think there was about 2 year span where I didn't go. But the best thing about Nauticon is it's interactive. Like a lot of well, it's not a con, and I should start with the name, because it's not a con. It's a con like no other. That's their catchphrase. It's always interactive. They have ideas that they put in place, like the talks are going to be a talk like at any other conference. They have different, you know, security conferences. They have different, you know, hacker conferences. They have different programming conferences. They have all kinds of different things along the computing spectrum. Anybody can submit a topic, and if it gets picked up, you know, just like submitting tutorials at Dream and Code.
Yeah.
And if it gets picked up, then you get, you know, to go on stage. In fact, one year I think, I know I boasted about it on Dream and Code. I went and watched Sigflup do a talk on programming for the Z80 assembler language for, you know, basically to build Sega Genesis games. And she was talking about how to ROM dump them and actually play them. It was a phenomenal talk. But just, it's always something different. And it's also interactive in that, other than the talks, you can go to the art forum and you can, you know, submit stuff to the, like, there's different music things. People are making music with computers in strange ways based on feedback. And 1 year, Calvin the Destroyer, who's a member on Dream and Code, and myself went and we submitted his idea for this contest called Anything But Ethernet, and the idea is to get any bit packet from a computer to a second computer using anything other than Ethernet. Some of the finalists were, they would have a robot who did the sign flags to where you would hold it, at like 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock, and that would represent a number. And then the number, and then so one bot would shine, or one bot would automatically move the arms, then the second bot would shine lights, and whichever ones got reflected back dictated the bit, and then it would transit to a letter.
That seems excessive.
Well, that's the point. The point is to be excessive. In fact, our entry was the Great Train Network, which I think we have, the greattrainnetwork.com. And the idea is that we have these trains that he built that hold marbles, and the marbles represent on, and no marble represents off. And the trains will drive to the next stopping point where they hit a switch and it drops the gate, and they'll fall, and if they hit the switch, then you get on, off, or whatever the series is. And after about 12 trains go by, you have enough to build a letter, and it's quite extensive. But that's the idea, is just to use your imagination. One of the fun things this year that they had was Artemis. It's a game where it requires 6 players and a captain. And then, well, there's 6 players. Sorry, there's 5 stations and a captain, and each station has a job. And on the main screen, off of what is essentially the server, it's showing the ship that you're currently flying. Like one guy uses the maintenance shield. It's a touchscreen interactive computer, and one guy is doing the missiles, and my job was communications, so I had to tell people when a base was requesting something or had weapons ready, or when a enemy was threatening attack, or I could actually tell enemies to stand down and surrender. And the idea is that you had to complete the mission, and there was 6 of you, and anybody could just go up and play this game for free. And the guy who wrote it was there, and he was actually taking notes. People would give him direct feedback. And also this year, this is the second year where they had the badge was a buildable circuit. You could buy like a kit and then build different circuits off of your badge. It had different chips or different lights, and it would do different things. So the whole and one of the best things that they have there is the whose slide is this anyway? And so you volunteer ahead of time, and when you get selected, you go up and have a prepared slide that wasn't prepared by you, and you have to give a talk on it. So you have to basically pull it out of your ass right then and there in front of a crowd. So if talking in front of a group isn't scary enough, you have to make shit up about something that, whatever is up there. And one of them they had was how to feed your pet rock, and
that's actually kind of fun. That sounds fun.
Yeah, it's basically 3 days of this, just 3 days of madness.
3 days of just stuff that doesn't necessarily get done otherwise. It's just people trying to do things differently.
One thing that they had this year, which didn't do as successful as I think they had planned for it, and I think next year might be better, is it was called Build a Game, Any Game, and basically they had an open terminal, or maybe it was an open network. I really didn't pay that much attention to the station, but I read the thing in the pamphlet, that anyone was welcome to come and contribute code to this game. And their idea was at the end of 3 days they would have some sort of game that was initially, obviously, day one, they lay down the, they lay down the groundwork and the idea for, is it going to be a puzzle game, an action game, whatever.
Is that like a 1,000 monkeys typing Shakespeare kind of thing? Eventually they're going to come to the game.
It is not at all designed to be efficient. It is not at all designed to be, I guess entertaining, other than entertaining for the people who are building it. But the idea was that at the end you'd have a game. I don't know how it turned out, but I know anytime I went by it, I didn't really see. I saw maybe 1 or 2 people playing at it. So
I'm sure that game is now referred to as some sort of terrible game that people play.
But it's just, it's ideas. Not all of these things return. I think the Anything But Ethernet contest hasn't been there in 2 years. So it's always changing. They're always implementing new ideas, and so that's good and bad. Because the good is that obviously if something was horrible, it's not back next year. But the bad is that if something was really fun, it's not guaranteed to always stick around. But it is always changing. It's a great.
Yeah. These sound
it's a great weekend.
Like Modi said, some of these like that when you were just talking about the game thing sounds pretty interesting for a community project with Dream and Code, some sort of challenge where people just work together on something, throw in their own stuff. It's not necessarily supposed to be efficient, like you said, or useful for that matter. Just a way for people to work together and create something.
And even more than that, I think even a little bit more importantly than that, it's for you to meet a stranger. It's for you
Yeah.
to say, hey, I contributed this with Joe. I didn't know Joe yesterday, and now Joe and I are part of this. And now I know a little bit about Joe. He knows a little about me, and next
Yeah.
year maybe we'll get together again.
What
You know,
about, what about Michael there? What do you think?
Yeah.
I totally agree with that. I think the community project idea would be fun, and it's always great when people who don't know each other come together and build stuff, and
Yeah.
it's great for team building and getting to know people.
I think it'd be interesting because you have people like this is like a future kind of thing. You know, people come to the website and say, "Oh, here's the Dream and Code game you could play." You could actually play the game, and then you could actually contribute something to it and actually say that it's like, "Oh, I helped with this," you know, and I added this part or I modified this part. Some open source that people just. Of course, some
And
people
then
will take more to it than others, but you know, it's
And then with the community aspect, we'll see a lot of Dream and Code specific aspects of our community appearing in the game, and
definitely.
people will add in some funny aspects that I'm sure all of us will get a kick out of, and that's what it's about too.
We actually did have something rolling in the games subforum, the one that's under the community or the caffeine lounge. In fact, I did a very bastard thing in the very beginning, and I wrote a meta redirect, but they were building this website based on nothing more than you come in, post a line, just put any line of code in here you want. I think the initial line was the open HTML bracket and the end HTML bracket, and just here post on our website. And the only problem with making a game over doing something as simple as the website idea, the HTML idea, is that you're going to have a lot of people that want to learn by it, and in gaming there seems to be this imaginary, if none of us know how to swim and we all jump in the water, we'll all teach each other how to swim. And you'll get a lot of people that join because they want to learn, but they want nothing more than to be a part of it. I mean, they as equally as they want to learn, they want to also produce. But you're going to have like 99% people who want to learn more than the ability to produce, and you're going to have very few people actually committed to it. And then the people who want to learn are going to drag down the people wanting to commit. And then the overall problem with doing something like that on Dream and Code is you're going to need someone to authorize what goes into the final project, just like with the code snippets and tutorials.
Yeah.
And I think you're going to be very hard-pressed to find someone with the knowledge and the free time to be able to take that role.
It would have to be several people because if it's a community-driven game, there's going to be a lot of code coming in. Kind of like the snippet section, I guess you could say, the snippets in the tutorial section of the site. People are submitting those things, and you have the moderators and stuff that actually go through and check all this stuff. It'd probably be similar to that.
I know a while back in the Share Your Project section, we had a specific subforum for, I think it was an open source Dream and Code IDE, and that went on actually for a year or two.
Yeah, I remember that.
And that was inactive for a while, and there were a few attempts to get it back going, but it just died out pretty quickly. Eventually, we ended up merging those threads and killing off that subforum and just merging everything.
Amory Kid, I think it was that started.
It was.
If I remember correctly, didn't it end up being stopped though because it became nothing but bickering? Like I don't think anything was being produced of it, and it was more taxing on the moderator's time to deal with the bickering than actually deal with the project.
That's the problem with community projects where it's all led by just a group effort. You need to have some people with the with the direct pointing people in the right direction and stuff. Otherwise, you're just gonna have all these people. I think we should do this. I think we should do this. What type of game is it going to be? You know, there has to be some sort of like outline.
Yeah, and the other thing with community and free time projects as well is that with volunteer stuff, people do get busy and people's lives do change, and then they have less time to commit to things, and that's when things start to fall apart as well.
Yeah, Neo Tifa is offering her services as project manager for the.
Which is great now when she's unemployed, but when she loses her internet in about a month, then great, we've got no project manager.
Well, she can live in the library then and just stay on Dream and Code during the day. Actually, I wonder if they're going to bring free Wi-Fi into the food bank.
Sometimes I think about going to. I actually take my laptop to a campus to download stuff because the internet's so much better than it is here.
I will admittedly say that I actually, on the radio, they were talking about Screech today, and they were talking about his Twitter account. And I, while in the drive-thru at Starbucks, pulled out my iPod, and jumped on their wireless, and was trying to find his Twitter account to follow it before the show, because I don't know, just because it was free for the next 5 feet.
Hey, I tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna mute everything and I'm gonna play your little thing. I haven't done that yet, so.
Okay, go ahead and play my little thing.
I'm gonna take this opportunity to play number two's thing.
Is your computer running slow, suddenly shutting off, locking up, or other abnormal behavior? You could very well have a virus. Help is available. Computer Design and Repair has been servicing Akron, Cuyahoga Falls, and the greater Summit County area since 2003. Give us a call, and a professional technician can diagnose and properly repair the issue. Computer Design and Repair can also repair your PC or laptop, including LCD screens, DC jacks, broken or missing keys, even data recovery. Located downtown Cuyahoga Falls on the corner of Portage Trail and 2nd Street, Computer Design and Repair is open from 11 a.m. until 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. Please, feel free to give us a call at 330-929-2600 or see our entire list of services on the web at akron123.com. Again, that's 330-929-2600 or akron123.com.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing because of Modi's comment about the commercial. It's like, play that skin flute. There's no flute in it at all. It's a guitar. So the flutes sound like guitars, apparently.
Yeah, especially skin flutes.
Yeah, skin flutes are actually a brass instrument. A lot of people mistake them for wind.
unless unless you're really flexible.
Well, this thing is. So, yeah. Oh, yeah. He was referring to me playing your thing. So that was number two's thing, and Kaya or Knowles or Kia. I still. How does he pronounce that? Kia, like a karate.
I've always said Kaya.
Yeah, that's how I said it.
Kaya,
Kaya. Yeah. So yeah, that's him speaking from the forums. You need to get him to update it a little bit, make it a little more.
I've got a lot of things on my plate, thus I've been late to the show for the last I don't know, ever since we've started it. So I'll get on that.
Suggestion, because you have your.
I know it needs. Well, see, the problem is that I didn't. With the last one we ran, the radio station recorded it themselves, and it needed to be on that weekend, and I forget what the hell the big rush was, but it was much easier to do that than to try and get everybody together. And also, too, I've got to say that I apologize if I'm repeating myself, but I'm having a hard time getting the guitar recorded again because I actually went with a local recording place, and they said it was kind of a one-time thing. And I found them while I was on a walk on the trails because someone had sprayed graffiti of it's a famous killing scene where they're shooting like a prisoner. I forget where it's from, but so I looked up the record label when I got home, and one of their acts had Tub Girl on the front cover, and I said, okay, I'm calling these people in the morning, and they're going to record my commercial. So they said it was kind of, they're like, no, we really only do like, big drawn out contracts with, selling CDs and et cetera, but they had an open time that week, and so they said, fine, like, whatever the price was, and yeah, they had them in there for like an hour, and it really wasn't their thing, and I'm actually really grateful that they set aside the time to do it. So,
all right, let's. I know Mac had something he wanted to talk about. He wanted to talk about the Jobs Act. So, throw out his opinion on that.
Modi brought up the Kickstarter website, which is about crowdfunding.
I'm going to load it up so that people can see it while you talk about it.
And recently, the Jobs Act was passed to make it easier for startups to get funding through crowdfunding is one source, but the Jobs Act honestly kind of annoys me because what it does is it makes capital a lot easier to access. It also doesn't come with the same restrictions and regulations that were put into place after the Great Recession to prevent another Great Recession, so people can get loans and money, but not in a clean way so as to prevent people from getting money on poor sets of terms.
Oh, you're cutting out.
All right, where did I cut out? Where should I start back in?
Yeah, it's like you said, your microphone's going in and out right now. You know, he warned me about this, everyone, that his mic does this. So maybe we could hang up and call you back real quick.
Sounds good.
Oh wait, talk. I think it fixed
It
itself.
does sound good.
Yeah, I think it fixed itself.
You got to
All
give
right.
it the Fonz. Just
Yeah, speak directly into the microphone. Don't swallow it, right?
Absolutely. I will start over.
Yeah,
So-
I can hear you fine now. Just go for it.
The Jobs Act was passed fairly recently, actually, and what it does is it allows startups and small businesses to get a hold of capital a lot easier. And with crowdfunding is a new thing, so if you want to start a business or you want to raise money with a group of friends, and crowd like that, and when you get enough people committing to getting the funds, then everyone is charged and you get the funds. So it's really easy to raise money. But on the same token, if you're a business and you're trying to raise startup capital, then it's not necessarily the cleanest way in terms of making sure investors own an appropriate share of your business or making sure the capital is reported legitimately for tax purposes. So we're starting to slip back into the same things like with the mortgage industry, where people can take out these loans with ridiculous terms that would just come back and screw them over later. And it's not a very clear way to do things. And we're starting to see the same thing with J.P. Morgan again, investing in all these weird hedge funds under the radar. And it's not financially responsible. The government should not be passing this. These restrictions were placed after the recession for a reason. Let's keep them there so that we don't make the same mistakes that we did last time.
Yeah.
I think I was pretty good about not ranting on that one.
Yeah. Well, you're good. You're good because I think half of what you said came across.
Don't get me started on the Postal Service, because then I really will get excitable and I really will rant.
Yeah, that's well, I think they're saying Big Brother's messing with your microphone right now. What you said came across, but every now and then you go out a little bit. But yeah, I think it came across. People understood what you guys said. They got the idea of it. That's so your microphone has these problems often. You mentioned you might switch to something else, but since we're coming to the end of the show, it's kind of your mic has been working this whole time. I'm telling you, your mic's been working this whole time, and as soon as you start talking about politics and stuff, they're like, "Oh crap, we gotta silence this guy."
All my friends say the same thing as well. When I start talking about politics, it gets worse and worse. I get very loud and excitable, and it's a rant.
Do you maybe have a nervous twitch that when you start talking online about politics that you twitch your volume bar up and down? Because that's what it sounds like.
His face is moving away from the mic.
I don't think it's that. It's like this. It does sound like it though. It's like it doesn't cut out. It just goes real soft and then it comes back. Goes real soft, comes back. It does sound like you're moving away from the mic.
You know, I am a little bit, because my inclination when I start to get on my soapbox is I want to get up and walk around and use my hands and get very animated when I speak.
Yeah, I can tell just by the way you talk about it. I know that you seem very passionate about this subject in politics. You post about this stuff on Facebook and stuff, and
Yes,
I definitely agree that that things are getting out of hand in certain situations, and I do have I kind of want to talk about it, but at the same time, it just seems inappropriate to go too far into my political views on a show where I'm trying to I don't want to alienate anybody by talking about my beliefs and stuff in politics.
I will try not to digress too much, because I really do get very excitable about this, and everyone who follows me online will know this.
My actual goals right now, once I finish college, is to look into law school and get into intellectual property and that sort of stuff, to try to work for the nerds and all that.
I'm actually, that's the thing I said I didn't want to get into with CC, a creative coder, is that that's the big holdup is right now is we're trying to pull the domain away from a web squatter, very successfully, I might add. So
nice reference to who they are. They're just domain dweller.
Well, it's what they did. They bought a domain name for intellectual property rights. Exactly what you were just talking about. They bought it because their competition didn't have it yet.
Yeah,
And
people
they
do
bought
that crap.
like literally the registered with the state of Ohio's business name. They registered that .com, and it's like, okay, that it's not you, yet it goes to your your logo, your company, and a quick letter from a lawyer, $75 later, and the site's down. Now we just got to get the domain name pulled.
Oh, that's just it bothers me that people do that, and that's another one of the things that the reasons why I want to get into this, because a lot of people with my specific skill sets, of programming and technology and that sort of stuff, they usually go into that type of career, engineering and software development, stuff like that. So I'm trying to go into the whole law of politics side to try to be a voice and prevent put down some restrictions for people like squatting on domains and stuff like that. There has to be something that has to be worked out. The current people have no understanding of technology, and it really needs to be addressed. But like I said, I can probably rant about this stuff too. But that's what blogs are for, right?
That's it. We have to go to episode 2.
Yeah. We're already over, we're past 8, but I got a message from your friend.
The Clone Wars. So next episode, we're the Clone Wars, right?
Clone Wars. Your friend messaged me. He said that there isn't really an hour limit on the YouTube thing, and that we don't have to be so strict on, hey, we have to end this before an hour.
And that's fine, because see, before we were uploading it, and I'm sure all this will get cut out because it's neither here nor there for the show, but before we had to be under the hour because you didn't have HD, and when you would upload it, he would have to cut it from your upload. Well, now, now that you can record it in just fine quality, you don't necessarily have to post it to YouTube. You guys can transfer it over whatever method you guys, want. Or you can cut some of it. Because all he does is loads it in the YouTube editor and just cuts out. That's not all he does, but that's how he cuts down the time, like all the uhs and the ums and stuff.
And so the long pauses.
Yeah. We're number 2, are you there? Hello?
Yeah, like when I was trying to figure out if you, that'll all get cut out. That's the beauty of his editing magic.
Right. So we're back down to like 40 minutes.
Yeah. Just that one segment alone.
Speaking of which, did you see this ties into 2 different things. Did you see his new video that they posted where his Google AdSense got cut down as he was nearing the $100? Like literally he had just hit the $100. He signed in and they said, you've been shut down.
What? Making too much money.
He's put a lot of work and effort into it, and come to find out, he is far from alone. If at the end of his video where it shows like videos like yours, it's like Google's AdSense Google shut down my AdSense account, one after the other, and the biggest problem is that people are opening accounts under their own social, and they're not opening them up under like an LLC like I did, where it's a taxable ID. Which is fine, other than the fact that you kind of have no rights, and they're just like, oh, okay, well, thanks for all the ads, and displaying them to all your many viewers, but you're done. There is an appeal process, but watch his video. It's great because he goes into he's done a lot more research on it than I have. I was aware of the problems, but he's being affected by them.
I'll have to watch it. We should probably wrap this show up, though. We've covered topics, and we definitely went in depth into some general ideas. It's funny, the topics that we covered on the show that I had chosen to be part of the show randomly, generally, is how I go about it. Except for the one that I post on the forums, I specifically chose that one. But we didn't spend too much time talking about those, but then we went into things that weren't even planned, and I think that's that we should definitely look into how we can use that in later episodes.
I covered my agenda, and that was mentioning Tub Girl
and Screech.
Tub Girl and Screech. I'm done.
So we should definitely work on I think we're throwing some ideas back and forth, and one of the things I came up with is that user-driven questions for guests and stuff like that, have an email address to where the viewers can submit programming questions or whatever, just any type of question really, a riddle, I don't even care, to an email address, and then we pick from them a few that we actually ask the guests when they're on the show. And I thought that would be an interesting thing.
I will get that set up over the weekend, and I will have it on the front page of the website of the weekly weeklydick.com website to where people can submit questions for next week's show, assuming that we'll still have one.
I just thought, it's kind of like an interesting thing to add to the show, something to make it interesting. And the guests come on and they don't know what they're going to be asked, right? You know, so I don't even really know, and probably till the day before when I actually go through all the suggestions and submissions and actually pick some.
Just to be fun, we could ask two. We could ask one that you hand pick, and then we could ask one that's randomly generated.
What if it's the same one twice?
Fuck him, he has to answer it twice.
Different answers, right?
Yeah.
See, what's a question that what's an interesting question like that you would submit?
That I would submit? Well, knowing macosxnerd was the guest and that he was here, I would guess the question I would have to answer is, or have him answer is, currently in school and with the projects that you're working on right now, what's like an average year-end project or that something that you're contributing to that you're doing for school and for school exclusively that has been the most fun?
I can go ahead and answer that right now if we have time.
Yeah, go for it.
Not allowed.
Rhetorical question.
In my computer organization class, we had our last project was called the binary bomb. Some of y'all who are in the class may have heard of it or in similar classes, but basically we're given an executable file, and we have to provide 6 different pieces of input so the bomb won't go off. And if we provide the wrong input, the bomb goes off, and we lose points on our grade. So it was teaching us how to use GDB and set breakpoints and disassemble an executable and step through the assembly. And it was a challenging project at first, just because I've never worked with C, never worked with GDB, never worked with assembly before this class. And by the end of the project, I can read assembly. I'm not going to say well, but it's not painful to read anymore. So it was a fun project. It was like one of those fun little puzzles that if I had more time, I would keep working on. But I only had so much time. I had started to before it was due, which was incredibly stupid, seeing as he gave us a month. And I had other homework, so I wish I had more time to work at that project because it was really fun.
All right. Well, unfortunately, I have to kick you guys off here, and I have to shut things down because I know that we're not really restricted to an hour. But me personally, I kind of kick people out of here. My fiance wants to come back in eventually, so I can't.
Yay! Yay! We're being booted.
Is it? There's a woman there?
Yeah.
You're a computer science major, and there's a woman in your house. I'm not sure I believe this.
You've got to read between the lines. The woman will be there in about 10 minutes after the automatic pump thing's done inflating her.
See, I have to shut things down so I can get her ready.
Right. He has to do it before like midnight, or the neighbors downstairs.
You ever watched Lars and the Real Girl? I take that as a no. Yeah.
No.
Otherwise, you would have got the reference.
Have I ever what?
Yep. But it's a movie about a guy with stuff. Anyways, it was great having you guys as guests. Number 2 Pencil, always fun to have you. And Michael, you're welcome to come back, and we can have more time to discuss your political stuff, assuming that you're not silenced by the political police.
Don't worry, I will always keep my political stuff fiscal. So we can talk about lots of money issues. And I am very excited and worked up about money issues.
Oh yeah, who wouldn't be, because all the money situation's going on right now. But let's keep from going into that any further for now.
Absolutely.
We'll definitely have to have you back, and Mr. Pencil.
It's been a lot of fun. Thank you for having me.
No problem. Oh, and Mr. Pencil, we were talking about trying to get him on more as part of trying to be a co-host, assuming he can actually show up.
Who, me?
Yeah.
I thought you were referencing back.
No, you were talking about, because I told you that we need some sort of co-host thing. That way, the days that I can't make it, which, could happen again, I have busy life.
You say a lot, and I have no camera, so.
Okay.
What is this life you're talking about? You're a computer scientist, and you have a life. And
I do other things, and I may end up with a part-time job here soon to help with other things. And
you're You're not cheating on us on another website, are you?
He's on the code queue. He's like a main.
Code cube.
He's on the code queue.
All right.
All right, well, that's it. We are taking that forum leader badge away.
All
Anyone
right.
on the code cube is getting demoted. In fact, we are just throwing them in rep abusers.
Should we get a badge on Dreaming Code if we use a code cube? If we have a code cube account.
Absolutely. In fact, I think KYA gets the first code cube badge.
Code
Since
cube.
he's
Or...
moderator and whatnot.
I will admit I am on that site. And I joined that site with the name Number 2 Pencil, so I wasn't sneaking around, and I was just making sure that everybody plays nice.
The trader badge, as Benign Design points out, Benign trader badge. This is Dreaming Code Live, damn it, not Code Cube Hour. All right.
Can we give him the Darth Vader badge then?
Can't give anything right now because I have to shut things down.
That's what I'm gonna do. That's what.
We're just gonna keep talking, ignore you and your feeble attempts to close things down.
Well, you know what I say to that? And they're gone. Look at that, because I have the magic buttons. Click. All right, guys. Thanks for being on. Thanks to Michael, also known as macosxnerd, and Number 2 Pencil or Jason. They're both administrators on Dreaming Code. So be sure every time you see a post from them to reply with derogatory comments towards them and their families. So yeah, we've covered a lot. We've talked about programming and 2D graphics and gaming. We've talked about DEA and politics, and we've talked about brogramming and who's programmers and who's a douche programmer. We talked about a lot of stuff. And we're actually, me and Number 2 Pencil, we're actually putting schedules and stuff together. Imagine that, trying to plan things out and do things properly. We have outlined, we've contacted several guests. We've contacted Super Sloth, we've contacted Skyhawk or Chris, the owner of the website. We're trying to work with schedules of B9 and Neo Tifa to actually get them on the show together to have a discussion about women in technology. And I thought that would be certainly an interesting thing to talk about. And yeah, we have previous guests that are more than welcome to come back, and Modi 123_1. We're gonna try to get him on the show too. I have a lot of stuff planned, and assuming I can actually make it, which shouldn't be a problem, especially since finals are coming up, and I'll be done with the semester and have a lot more free time, summertime. Shouldn't have too big of a deal. But I gotta get out of here, and you guys gotta enjoy at least what's left of your Friday night. So I'll see you all next week. Later.